Hey and hi, I'm Danny Troxell. Good to see you today. Let's talk a little bit more about all those statues being removed and some current events, shall we? Will Abraham Lincoln statues be next to be removed by the radical alternate left? Now, after the Civil War, it is USA history that President Abraham Lincoln, to solve the black controversy, was to ship all black people back to Africa. Yeah, you heard me right. See, they don't teach you that, do you? But it's real and it's a fact. It's United States history. His plans called for building enough ships to ship every black person back to Africa. But he was assassinated before his plans could be carried out. Will the statues of Abraham Lincoln be next on the chopping block? Well, you bet it will. They'll get around to it, as well as George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. So what is really occurring? It's actually communist. What? You heard me right. It's actually communist. Black Lives Matters is supported and sponsored by the Communist Party of the USA. The Black Lives Matters parade last year in Lexington, Kentucky was sponsored by the Communist Party of the USA. What is occurring is actually a communist takeover of the USA. What? You heard me. Destroy all history of freedom and replace it with a communist manifesto. Now you know the real agenda, the real facts, and the real truth of it all. I will have a bourbon and a cigarette. The next event that includes Black Lives Matters is actually a communist parade to overthrow the government and society of the United States of America. You learned something this day, didn't you? It's a fact, Jack, as they say in the movie Stripes. The alternate left are actually communist terrorists. So let's go to the Civil War. They keep talking about these Confederate statues. Was it about slavery or something else? They say the statues is slave owners and so forth, and so they want them removed. At the peak of black slavery in the USA, census showed only 6% of all people in the South owned slaves. What? Yeah, you heard me. Only 6%. Now think to yourself about the other 94% of Southerners. What did they really fight for in the Civil War? That's hard facts, but it's true. Now let's go to some current events. This has to do with Indianapolis, Indiana. Recently, huge Indianapolis Confederate Memorial is considered to be removed. Garfield Park Confederate Memorial is now in the spotlight to be removed in Indianapolis, Indiana, and that's in the north, that's not in the south. It was first erected at a mass Confederate grave site, originally a tombstone marking a mass grave of 1,616 Confederate prisoners of war who died at Camp Morton, which was near 19th and Alabama Streets in Indianapolis, Indiana, and were interred at Green Lawn Cemetery. It was later moved to Garfield Park. Now it is coming under the eyeglass for removal. Mixed views were presented at a meeting, and upcoming meetings are to be held about this. Even the North is facing removals of Confederate statues and memorials, and now gravesite markers. I want to have a Kentucky bourbon and a cigarette. Thanks for listening for today. This is for the current events and those markers being removed and statues and everything. I hope you learned something today. It's actually a communist takeover. Believe it or not, that's exactly what it is. So you all have a nice day today. I will have a bourbon and a cigarette. Kentucky bourbon, that is. I'm from Kentucky. I live in Lexington, Kentucky. Y'all have a good day now. Bye-bye.